All right. Well, happy Saturday, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you, and
Yes.
I'm excited that you're here. So, thank you, everyone, and welcome to Touche Life. We have an amazing, amazing episode here for you today, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her because she is so amazing to me. During the holidays, a lot of times it's not only the hustle and bustle and the stress that can come along with, the family and the friends and the Thanksgiving and etc. But it can oftentimes be a little nostalgic and grieving, especially if we've lost loved ones or we're grieving the loss of not only people in our lives or relationships, but sometimes jobs. And there's so many things that we can grieve that we don't often talk about. So the Lord laid it on my heart to let this episode gear towards grieving and caring and sharing. And there's no one else that I can think of that would be better to share that than this amazing woman who happens to be my auntie, Debbra Nixon. And so we're going to go ahead and kick it off with a quick introduction, and then she's going to come back and share with you, and not only share with you, but encourage you how to get through this season because we care, and because you're not alone, and because you're loved, and because there's hope no matter what. So stay tuned after this introduction. Welcome back to Touche Life. And so, again, we have an amazing woman here with us. We talk probably 7 days in a week. We probably talk 1 to 2 times a day for at least 6 to 7 days a week. And so that's just how encouraging and inspiring she is. She's a mother, a daughter, a grandmother, and now a great grandmother, and a minister and an encourager. When I think of her, I think of Barnabas because Paul had Barnabas. And she's just an amazing woman. And so, my auntie, Debbra Nixon, are you there all the way from Palm Beach County?
Yes, I am. I surely am.
I'm
Hey,
excited.
hey, Georgia.
Hey,
Hey, Palm
she is
Beach
the
County.
ultimate accessory queen, okay? From the shades to the hats to the nails to the glasses to the jewelry. She was my icon growing up because she had every accessory that you could have, like everything matched. And so, thank you, Auntie, very, very much. And so, not to belabor the time, here at Touche Life, we're a community of hope. As you know, that's our nonprofit. I know we'll be working together with things like Kathy's Heart and the charitable foundations that we have. But I want you to tell us a little bit about you and maybe some of your experiences you want to share where grief has been concerned.
I am so happy to share this afternoon. And first, I want to say to the listening audience, hello from Palm Beach County, Florida.
Right.
And right now, we are not the Sunshine State. It is cold, y'all.
Mm,
We got
it's
some
hard to
cold
imagine.
weather coming in here. But
Mm-mm.
I'm here today specifically to talk about the grief and our grief walk. I've had quite a bit of grief in my life. I've lost my father, my sister, my two sons, my mother, and none of them was easy. I often say, and I just say this to all the parents today that have lost their children, God can. And when I say God can deliver you. God can heal your hurt. God can heal your heart. Um, it's not easy, but He can. It's easy for Him. It's just not easy for us because we had our children. We love our children. We expect for our children to raise. I mean, to bury us. We never expect to bury our children. And there is no hurt like the hurt of a mother or a father that has to bury their child.
My God.
But right now, we're going to talk about grief. And we're going to just briefly let you know the stages of grief and how they work. And the stages of grief is denial. That's your first stage. That's the stage I believe that almost everybody hits first, because it's unbelievable. It's not
Yeah.
something that you look to happen. It's just not something that, you're praying. They're sick, even though they may be sick, you're praying for their recovery, and you have faith that God is going to heal them, and they're going to get up, and they're going to be able to live again, and do everything that they did before. And when death comes, you deny it. It hurts too bad. You have to deny it. And denial is like a inbred help to protect your mind and your heart. Denial comes to protect you. It's like an inner protection. Our next step is anger. After the denial wears off and you know that they're not coming back, you get angry because they're gone. You're having to say goodbye to your loved one, and that's not easy. So you're angry. You're angry at the doctors. You're angry at yourself because you don't think you did enough. You're angry at anybody that's around you, and sometimes you even get angry at God. And I want you to
Mm,
understand, for those of you that get angry with God, He knows. He knew this day was coming. He knew that you was going to have that emotion. He knew that you were going to be angry with Him. But you know what? In all of that, He still loves you.
mm,
We also have
mm.
bargaining. You just, Lord, if you just give them one more day, Lord, just breathe life back in them, and just let them live just another year, another 5 years, another 10 years, whatever the case may be. You're trying to bargain and do something to make your heart stop hurting, because it's hurting, and it's hurting gravely,
Yes.
deep, hard. It breaks. It's breaking you. And then you go into a depression because now you realize they're gone,
Yes.
and they can't hear you, they can't
Mm,
feel you, you can't talk to them, and you're depressed, you're sad, your heart is broken. And then the last step that you go through, and it takes some people years to get to this. It takes some people not quite so long because of their lifestyle, of their walk with God, of their faith. They get to the last stage, which is acceptance. And I can tell you, my walk through this was hard because these were my children. And I was hurting. And it wasn't an easy walk, but it was doable, and it was only doable because of my walk with God, because of my faith in God, because God never once left me, and I never lost my praise. That's a song, but
yeah.
it's so true. I never lost my praise. When I got to the point that I could not go any further, and I thought that I would crack under pressure or burst under pressure, all I could say was, God help me. God help me. Jesus help me. Strengthen me. Dry my tears. All these emotions, a million emotions are going through your body. But I want you to know these stages are pretty much circular because there is no order. Some people that they don't go into denial first. They get angry. They're mad because they're hurting, and they want to hurt somebody else. They want to hurt themselves. They just want to hurt something, anything.
Yeah.
Break
Hurt
a
people. Hurt
wall.
people. Yeah.
It's anything you're just mad.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
bargaining, sometimes that comes first. Depression might come first. Acceptance, I don't think ever comes first. But You may be different. But I
Mhm.
want you to know that the order varies and it's expected. You're going to bounce around. You're going to go through denial. You're going to go to bargaining. You may go to depression. You may do acceptance. But all of these emotions are emotions that God created for you to go through to help you in death. You know, he experienced death. He experienced death with his best friend, which was
Mhm.
Lazarus. God wept. He was heartbroken too.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
mean, death is death, and he
Right.
hurt. You know, even God hurt in death. You know why God hurt? You want me to tell you why I think God hurt in death, or why I feel God hurt in death? I want you to go
Mhm.
back to the book of Genesis when with Cain and Abel.
Yes.
Abel gave a perfect gift to God. He gave a great gift to God, a sacrifice. Cain, on the
Mhm.
other hand, just threw something together and gave it to him, and didn't take any care with it.
Right.
And God was upset with Cain, and he didn't
Mhm.
accept it. And then
Mhm.
jealousy set in with Cain. That's why we have
Right.
to pray. That's why we have to put God in everything that we do. I don't care what it is. You include God in it.
Right.
And he killed Cain. I mean, he killed Abel. Cain killed Abel.
Right.
And when God went to look for Abel because he wanted to just let him know how much he loved him, how much he appreciated him, and Abel didn't answer, don't you think God cried? Don't you think God was hurt because he could not find his Abel? And when he finally found Cain, he asked Cain, "What have you done?" And look at the punishment Cain got. Don't you think God was angry because Cain had did that? Because he told Cain, your whole line is canceled. Your whole
Yeah.
line of family is canceled. He canceled a whole line of people. He was
Wow.
hurt.
He was hurt.
And
So let me ask you a question.
uh-huh.
When you experience, and just let me say, I appreciate your transparency because you not only lost two sons, if I may say, you lost two of your three sons within a 2, 3 year time frame,
Three.
3 year time frame.
Mm.
And I can only imagine. So, when we're experiencing this grief for someone that may have the questions and you go through the different stages, I will say I never heard of the bargaining stage. The bargaining stage, I've never really heard of that. When I knew the denial, the anger, the acceptance, but not the
Depression.
bargaining, the
The
depression.
bargaining stage is one of the most used stages that people go through. Everybody just about uses that bargaining stage because you don't want to accept the fact that your child is gone or that your loved one is gone.
Hmm.
And you just want to, I want you to think about if you're buying a car, you want the best deal you could get. So you bargain.
Right.
Okay, this is death. You want the best thing you could get. You wouldn't have, if it were humanly possible that people could give all their money and bring life back,
To get that life back. Mm.
and they tell God, they offer God the best thing they have. God, I give up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just bring my child back. Just bring my husband back. Just bring my sister back. Just bring my brother back. Just bring my mother. Think about the people that lost their mother. They'll
Mm-hmm.
give anything to bring their mother back. That's their
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Now that's real
And then
good.
you have those that are close to their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give anything to bring back their loved ones. And that's bargaining.
Got it.
Some people say, God, if you just bring them back, I give up drinking. I give up smoking.
Mm.
I give up
Mm.
drugs. That's
And
bargaining.
and then if he chooses not to, that's when the depression can come in. Is that
Yes.
it? Because
The
reality sets
depression can
in.
come in any one of these steps. As a matter of fact, the depression comes in and it just overwhelms you. It
So take
just
us
it.
back.
Hmm.
Take us back to say your first holiday season.
Oh my gosh.
Because in our family, I do remember when I was little. And first of all, we come from a family of cooks, right? That kitchen stayed burning.
Hmm.
And I remember cooking, grandma and them cooking when I was little on like Friday and Saturdays. So that you really didn't need to cook. You just warmed up on Sundays, right?
Hmm.
And y'all would sneak in and put up the Christmas tree at night. And me and Rod would, because we were older than the twins, and we would sneak out our room and try to see what gifts were under the tree because y'all would bring them in about 11, 12 o'clock. Um, with all of those memories that we have throughout the years, as you lost your boys and as you lost grandma, and as you lost my mom, what are some things that those who have experienced loss from a death perspective can not only expect, maybe in their first years, we're approaching Thanksgiving, but not only expect, but how can they prepare mentally and emotionally to maneuver during this season?
Okay. I prepared something to help everyone in that
Mm,
scenery because I want you to know it's not easy, but it is
mm,
doable. You
mm.
can get through the holidays. You can
Okay.
smile through the holidays. Some people gonna smile, some people gonna cry, because you're still human. You still miss them.
Right.
Because
Right.
the holiday is coming doesn't mean that you're gonna stop grieving to celebrate the holiday. It doesn't work like that. Your heart is involved. But what you
Right.
have to understand is that you have to do certain things that will help you.
Okay.
And those are the
Grab my.
things now that I'm going to discuss.
Oh wow. Okay.
And don't feel bad, when because you're crying or because you're sad or because you're going through your stages. Don't feel bad. Don't negate your grief. It's your walk.
Okay.
That's your grief.
Right.
Own it, accept it, and go with it. Just go with the flow. But one of the first things that you're going to do when you're getting through the grief over the holidays is you're going to set boundaries. Well, what do you mean?
Mm.
You got to set boundaries. You're going to participate in the activities that feel good to you. Some things may be too hard. Some
So
things may
good.
just hurt. Some things you just
So
can't,
good.
you just can't get through it. But you got to make your mind up and you got to decide what you want to participate and what you don't want to participate. If you decide to participate in something and then after you've gotten involved and you're sitting in the room with a lot of people and the tears start flowing, don't feel bad. You could either sit there and let them flow. It's okay. And if people don't understand, then let them worry about that. If it's
That's
too
so good.
much, get up, walk outside, get a breath of fresh air, separate yourself, and talk to your father. Because I don't care what's going on, I don't care what you're feeling, I don't care how much pain you're in. Your father in heaven can handle it. Your
That's
father
so
in
good.
heaven will come and see about his child.
That's
And I
so
want you to think
good.
about this. When you think about your mother, when you think about your father, If your father sees you crying, he coming. If your mother sees you crying, she's coming. And the first thing they gonna say is, why? What's the matter? What happened? God doesn't have to do that. He sees you crying and he's gonna know, hey, let me go help my child. And he's coming to your aid. Sometimes because of you, because of your faith, because of your walk with him, he may let you ask, God, come help me. And sometimes because of your walk with him, because of your faith in him, he may just dry your tears. God knows what he's doing. God knows how to be God. He doesn't need our help in that area. All he needs us to do, if we're overwhelmed and we need him, just call on him.
That's
You
so
know,
good.
with people, we put on this facade. Oh, I'm just great. Everything's fine. Everything, I'm walking through a bed of roses. I have no problems. I'm okay. But God knows that heart. God knows what's going on the inside. And he wants you to be honest with him. Remember, he doesn't like a liar at all. He hates a liar so bad. He says a liar will not tarry in his sight. So let him know how you feel. Don't hide it. God, I need you. God, I need your help. And I'm telling you, just like your earthly mother and father, they'll knock over a building if they could to get to their child. He
Pick up
will
the
knock
state.
over a building. He
Yes.
will crush a mountain. He will
Yes.
climb. He will even have to climb. He'll go through the wall and get to his child and see about his child.
I love it. Set boundary. Yeah.
The second thing I want you to do is tune into your emotions. Don't try to shut them out. Don't try to squish them. Don't try to hide them. Don't try to take them and put them on the back table. You know how we take stuff and put it in the closet, on the shelf, on the top shelf, behind the books, in the corner under the books, all that stuff. You know how we try to do and put on this
Yeah.
smile like, oh, I'm all right. I got this. I got this. No. Mm-mm. Don't do that. Acknowledge your feelings. Don't try to avoid them. You may or may not experience positive or negative feelings. It's okay. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. Don't ignore them, but seek activities that will feel good to you. You know, a lot of times when I was going through my grief with my children, I kept a puzzle book and a little Bible in my pocketbook. I
Mm.
walked around with that puzzle book. And sometimes when I got overwhelmed, I would just work a puzzle. What that does is that calms your inner man. It relaxes you. And you're able to think. You're able to say without hesitation or without, a bunch of stuff going through your mind, God help me. And I think I must have used the puzzle book for about a year. You know that
Wow.
search a word,
Yeah.
fill in the blanks with the numbers,
Uh-huh.
Sudoku, these
Sudoku.
kind of
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
And
Wow.
don't feel bad. Do what you got to do. And I don't care where you are, what you're doing, and what you're going through. When you read the 23rd Psalm, just the thought of the 23rd Psalm is such a common experience.
I'm trying to
And
tell
don't
you.
forget about the first Psalm. Don't forget
Yeah.
about that because that's another one.
Yes, it is.
All of us want to
Yes.
walk along the water and let our toes get wet. We want to walk in that sand. That sand relaxes us. That's another good thing that you could do. Walk along the beach. You get that salt air in your system and you letting your toes walk through the sand. Do you know the sand is such a
Yes,
relaxing uh, antidote to pressure? I'm telling you,
it is.
God has created this earth and He's put so much in and on this earth. to help us through our difficult times. All we got to do is just take advantage of them.
So true. I love it.
But you
So we
do
set
what
boundaries,
makes
we tune
you
into
feel
our
good.
emotions. Right.
The next thing I want you to think about doing, and I want you to do it, don't think about it, do it. And that is plan ahead. Now,
Mm.
I remember that when my dad used to carve the turkey. Oh my gosh. And I tell you, he used to carve that turkey and leave nothing but the carcass. And I don't know why, and he would do it. And my mama would fuss, James, why you putting that big old piece of meat on her? She can't eat all that meat. But I always say, Daddy, give me the drumstick. Who in the world can eat a turkey drumstick, a whole turkey drum? What child you know can eat a whole turkey drumstick?
I don't
But Daddy
know.
would cut that drumstick and he would put it on my plate. And I'd take about 3 or 4 bites out of it and couldn't eat no more. And my mom would be fussing. And he'd say, Sugar. My mama's name was Sugar. He'd say, Sugar, what did she hurt? She ain't hurt nothing. Let that child eat that bite on that drumstick. Leave her alone. Oh my goodness. And then, some more traditions that we had after my father passed. I had a stepdad and he would cut the turkey, but I didn't care. By the time I knew I couldn't eat the whole drumstick. And I would tell him, I don't want nothing but the white meat and give me one piece of dog meat. And I wanted rutabagas. And I wanted them,
Rutabaga.
these are things that are tradition. You had the rutabagas, you had the turkey, some more things that you can even set new traditions. I think I'm kind of
Yes.
going ahead of myself, but you know, make preparations. If your loved one was the one that carved the turkey, substitute someone else to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Another tradition that you could do to change the atmosphere is pull names on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
That's a good thing to do. It's fun.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
what we used to do, we used to put up the tree on
That's
Thanksgiving.
it. We do that. Yeah. That's what we do.
Everybody had a job to put up the tree. And we would all get around and put up the tree. And we used to tell my mama she never went for it though. I tell you, my mama was smart. She was too smart sometimes. But my sister and I would tell her, hey mama, I want you to wrap all my gifts in this kind of wrapping paper. Don't use no other wrapping paper, but just use this. That was we thought we was being smart, so that we'll know how many gifts we got
We
and
got.
what gifts was ours. She didn't never do it. She wrapped most of them in that one, but she would always wrap 2 or 3 in something different.
She did.
And
Sassy.
then
Sassy.
she would tell us when we got through it. We thought we had opened up all our gifts. When we saw these last gifts under the tree, we would say, "Oh, Mama, who gifts are these? Oh, that was y'all. That's y'all gifts. Well, why you ain't? Because y'all wasn't smart. You trying to outsmart me. But those are your gifts. I tell you, we used to do fun stuff for the holidays. Do some fun stuff.
Right.
Make some new traditions. Make some new changes. Do something crazy like eat ice cream or drink ice cream shakes,
Right.
milkshakes for Christmas Eve or new shakes for Thanksgiving night. And especially if it's cold, freeze your
Right.
butt off. And something else you want to do and you don't want to just throw it away is honor your old traditions.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Honor the things that you used to do. Keep doing them. Don't change it. They work then, they'll work now. The old traditions are important and can and will help the flow of the day. They keep things running smooth.
Mm.
The
So
next
good.
thing you're going to do is create new traditions. I kind of touched on that before. I got so excited. But, don't be hesitant to try something new. Some new things you could do
Awesome.
is get some plain bulbs, Christmas bulbs, and decorate them for the Christmas tree. That's something different. That's
Oh,
something that you
that's
don't normally.
nice.
You usually go and buy your bulbs or buy your Christmas decoration, but do something that will involve the children. A friend of mine,
Yes.
when she lost her husband, and they was getting ready to do Christmas, and nobody wanted to put up the tree, she went out and she bought a tree, and she just put it in one of the rooms. And then she bought out some plain bulbs, and she say, "Hey, we're gonna decorate tree the some bulbs for Christmas for the tree." And they came up with some creative ideas. They put their daddy's picture on some of the bulbs. Some of the things they took things that he used to have, like maybe buttons from a shirt, and decorated the bulbs with it. You
I
you
love
try
it.
these children. Let these children use their imagination. They will come up with some crazy stuff that works. One
I
one
love it.
child decorated his shoe and put uh the stuff that you the streamer. Put streamers on the shoe and had cars on the shoe and all kind of stuff. But it was cute and it looked good, and she put it down at the bottom of the tree.
I love it.
Set new traditions.
I love it.
Set new things that you
I
could
love it.
do.
That's good.
And the last thing you could do was almost to the last. Almost to the last. Identify coping skills. One coping skill that I use, I don't, I can't say I overuse it, because the Lord said, pray without ceasing. I prayed a lot. I prayed. Another one was, I was telling you about it, is puzzle books. Get coloring books. Do things to help smooth
Yes.
the rough areas. Reach out to others. And when you reach out to others, you pretty much know the personality of the ones that you know that you can reach out to, and they're not going to say anything. Whatever you say to them, they're going to keep it to themselves. And you're going to have these people that you know are really not for you, don't really have your best interest in heart, but you have to keep it respectful. Just say, well, I'm going through a little something, but God's delivering me, God's helping me, and let that be it. They don't have nothing they could go out and talk about. They don't have nothing they could go to y'all other friends and say, well, child, I was talking to her and I asked her how she was doing, and she started crying, and she started. No, they don't have. You didn't give them anything. You just let them know you was honest, and you let them know that you're getting through, because you are.
Right.
Why you are? Because you know God. You know God is a healer. You know God is a provider. You know God will never leave you, nor will he forsake you, but he's going to be with you till the end of the world. Reach out to others. Express your feelings through talking, journaling, sharing stories. A lot of times my mom and I, we used to sit back and we used to think about the fun things that my boys did. We used to think about the fun things that daddy did, and some of his habits that
Yeah.
he would do, and we would laugh. She used to tell me about some of the
Mm.
fun things that she did with her mother. Like she didn't, she never did like to feed herself, even though she was big enough. But when she was sick, she wouldn't feed herself, and her daddy would sit her on his lap, and he would feed her off his plate, and she just thought that was the best thing. She said the food even tasted better off of his plate.
Oh,
That's go figure. But these are things that you could do. And it's not hard. Just think of something you like to do and do that, and include others in it.
that's awesome.
Put yourself on a
That's
schedule.
awesome.
What you mean, Deborah?
Mm.
You know you gotta have sleep. You know you can't neglect yourself. You gotta eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast and dinner. You gotta still do things that um Keep you healthy. You got to drink water. So make a schedule for yourself. Well, it's 10 o'clock. Let me just get a bottle of water and let me drink on a bottle of water. It's 8 o'clock. Let me eat breakfast. It's 6 o'clock. Let me eat dinner. Make a
So
schedule
now
and
that's really
stick to
important.
it. It
That's really
is
important
because
because
when
what
you
you're
are
talking
going
about
through
is
grief,
self-care. Mm-hmm.
when you're going through grief, a lot of times you're so overwhelmed you forget to eat. And if you
And
forget
take
to
care of
eat too long
yourself.
or too much, you get
Mm,
weak. If
wow.
you overeat, you run your blood pressure up. And what I mean, if you overeat, you run your blood pressure up because now you've put an extra pressure on you.
So good.
And
So
the
good.
last thing that I want you to, it's a delicate subject, but I want to mention it so that you are aware of it. And I want you to make note of it, include others around you to help you with this. Just bring it to your attention. Don't overwhelm me. You know who's going to be on you, who's going to have your best interest, and who can pull you aside and talk to you and talk you back off the ledge. The last thing that I'm talking about and what I'm referring to is limit the alcohol and the drugs, because those things will become a bad habit that's hard to break, and you don't want to have
That's
to
so
go
good.
through that.
So good. That's so good. And that is not often talked about. That is avoided because a lot of times we run to these other things to give us a sense of peace, but it's not peace. And it opens up so many more doors of destruction for us. That is so good. Is it fair to say, Auntie, that if someone already may engage in occasional drinking, is it fair to say that maybe that needs to be something they almost try to avoid even more during this time than they normally would?
They can't just try to avoid it if it's a part of them, if they do it. But what they don't want
Right,
to do is overindulge in it.
right, right, right. So they have to go in cognizant of it
Yes,
because it
be
can pull them
cognizant
in
of
more.
what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Mhm. That's so good. That's so good. That is so good. So that could go back to preparing
Yes,
as well, like
very.
be prepared, know your area of weakness, you know, because oh, that's
Yes.
so good. I've never heard anyone say that in regards to grief. Never. Mm, that was so good.
But you have to acknowledge it because so many people, and I've seen them, I've seen it. It's not that it's rare. It is not rare. It's current. It's a
Relevant.
recognizable bad habit. But I've seen people turn to alcohol and just destroy themselves. Just just kill themselves with alcohol, kill themselves with drugs because they are mourning the life or the death of someone that they love.
Wow, that is so good. So accountability is going to be key when you talked about, the people who you can kind of kick it with and those you can't. So it's going to be wise to have a safe circle during this time. And a safe circle doesn't mean a large circle. Is
Right.
that fair to say?
That's fair.
Okay. Okay. So to have a safe circle that you can confide in, and how about can hold you accountable?
Yes. That's what I was talking about when I said, get a
Mhm.
friend. You know who you can trust. You know who you can,
Right.
you know, turn to, someone that you could talk to and someone that could talk to you and say, "Hey, how you doing today? What you doing today?" And you may
Right.
say, "Well, I think I'm gonna have me. I bought me a bottle of Cavassier. I don't know what Cavassier is. I don't even know. I don't know if that's a wine or what. I don't drink. But I'm giving
Yeah.
examples. I want you to work with me, your
Right.
audience. I bought me a bottle of Cavassier. Okay. I hope it comes in a bottle.
It
Uh,
does.
okay.
The
I
kid's
bought me a
grandfather,
bottle of
that was his
Cavassier
favorite drink.
today. Okay,
Mhm.
then that friend will say to you, hopefully that friend will say to you, all right, but don't try to drink the whole bottle. Just get a
Mhm.
couple. And you listen.
Right. So you need
You
somebody
go.
honest enough to do that.
Yes.
You need somebody
Yes.
honest enough to roll with you through that.
Yes. And
Yeah. That
everybody
that
has a
is
friend.
so good.
Everybody
Hmm.
has a friend. God does. He did not place on this earth to be by ourselves. Everybody got somebody, that can hold them accountable.
Right.
And
This
if
is so
not,
good.
then
This
that's
is so
one of
good.
them times that you pray and you ask God for
Yes.
help.
This is so good. I greatly appreciate you and you sharing your transparency on this. And I am blown away, especially by a few things you said, because boundaries are so important. And what we're dealing with here
Yes.
is on this part is grief from the sense of losing a loved one. We do know there are
Yes.
other ways to grieve. I grieved my divorce, even though I filed, I knew we needed to get out, but I grieved it. And one thing that I had to do was set boundaries, because
Yes.
if you don't set boundaries, no one else will. And
Mm-mm.
I was somewhat ostracized for setting boundaries. So, this is a transparent moment. The kid's dad had a trade in plumbing, if you remember. And because he was a plumber, some of our friends and family would call on him to do little side work, like the kids' godparents or a few people at the church or some of our family. And so after the divorce, I literally had to set boundaries and stop them from calling me to get in touch with him to do their work,
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to heal. And in a sense, I'm gonna give him credit. He was gonna need to heal because it was a 14-year marriage, 15-year relationship, 6 kids. So we were trying to learn how to communicate in this different scenario, you know?
Yes.
And I remember a cousin, one of the kids' God's parents, and someone from the church. Those three I remember specifically. I had to tell them, look, write the number down. Do not call me again to get information for him. I said, this is not about being angry, but we are learning how to maneuver in this new season. And I need you to respect that. And after, because I by that time I had asked them 3 times. I literally let people call me. It must have been about 4 or 5 months. People were still calling me. And it would kind of rattle me each time. And I didn't want to come across as the bitter lady, but I needed to heal. I needed to move on in life without staying in constant communication, because it was the death of our union, if you will.
And that's
So the
important,
fact that
Sherry.
it
That's
was
really
so important, it
important.
was hard, because people, I don't think they understood it. Because if we're not careful, and that's why, let me say this, I love the name of your ministry, and I'm going to add the link down at the bottom. Karen is sharing grief shares on Thursdays at 6:30, am I mistaken? Or six
No,
o'clock
it's on Thursdays at 6 o'clock. And can I add
Thursday
this,
at
Shay?
6 o'clock.
Because I would
Yes,
be
please.
so amiss if I didn't add this. I
Hmm. Hmm.
started doing this. I started doing it. I did not recognize that it was a gift in me or it was something that I could do.
Hmm.
When my pastor said she wanted to start a grief ministry, I said to myself
Hmm.
and a few others, well, I hope she don't call me to be over it because I can't do it. I just can't do that. That's too sad. I cannot handle it. But I thank
Hmm.
God for Dr.
Amen.
Linda Collmore that saw it in me, because since I've been doing it, I've healed even more. I'm able
That
to
was,
talk
yes,
about it. I'm able to
yes,
move about it. I'm able to read about it. I'm able to help people that I don't even know.
yes.
And I
Well,
thank
that's
her for
scripture
that.
because
And I thank
Revelations
her.
12:11. Yeah, Revelations 12:11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And you are overcoming because of that. That's a part of your healing.
Amen. So I
That's
say thank you, Dr.
wow.
Collamore.
That is awesome. And thank you
You
for your
did it again.
obedience in that. Thank you for your obedience in that, you know. And I really like the part about caring is sharing. And sharing is caring because when we share, we help so many
Others.
others, but we also help ourselves. So God uses it as a revolving, as you used the word earlier, anecdote. It's a revolving anecdote
Amen.
when it's in safe places. And so I really, really appreciate that about you. And so I'm going to definitely leak your information because as people go through and grieve, you may grieve seasons, you may grieve people, you may grieve in death, you may grieve in divorce, you can grieve in law, in careers. I grieved
Mm.
leaving Florida, because it was all I knew. But one thing about the Lord, He brings life
Yes, he
out of
does.
death. And so when we have those situations that have died off, or in cases he has killed off, or he has let die, he is there to give life. And so I am grateful for you, your ministry, all you've shared. I can't wait to invert this into my podcast that is coming on. And I know that we'll have you back. This is a great time, y'all, before the hustle and bustle happens. You can go out and get those crossword puzzles, get those little books, give back to someone else, spend time with someone else you know have lost. And it's funny that Auntie said that because when I first got up here and I was grieving Florida, I'm in Georgia. When I first got here, one thing that brought me comfort was something I did as a child. I'm talking 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 years old. I got water paint. I would paint with watercolors in the coloring book, or I would watch them online. I would love to watch them watercolor and water paint, and it brought a sense of calm when anxiety would come in. And so, thank you for sharing that because a lot of times it's those childlike activities, not childish, childlike
Mm-hmm.
activities that can bring so much peace.
And
And
bring
so,
comfort to you.
bring comfort, bring comfort. So, thank you so much, Auntie Debbra Nixon, for sharing with us in so many ways, so much richness in this. And I'm going to type the key points out. That would be good. I'm going to type the key points out. I'm also going to have this on Facebook and our YouTube. I'm going to send your link. So if anyone wants to join in on Thursdays, that would be totally awesome. The link will be there and I will be posting it. It will also be placed on my website in the near future, as she's one of our partners. So we'll have a chance to always have access to how she shares. We'll continue to keep her lifted up in prayer as she gives others, because as you give out, you have to be renewed. And she's just God has allowed her to be an ever flowing well. And so I thank you for that, Auntie. And I thank you all for joining us here today. Is there anything you want to say in closing, Auntie, before we close out?
I love you guys. I know that I don't know everyone that's seeing this, but if you know someone that's going through and it's painful for them, direct them to my link. It's every
Yes.
Thursday. It won't be this Thursday. This Thursday is Thanksgiving, but it is every
Right.
Thursday at 6 o'clock You don't have to be a part of the church. You could just be a visitor. You could just be someone that needs to grieve. You could just be someone that needs help. You could just be someone that's just in a bad situation. Join us. We would love to have you, and you will be blessed. Love you. Bye bye.
Love you too. Agreed. Stay tuned. Here at Touche Life, it's not just a podcast, respectfully. We talk about all things life, but we also connect to make a difference. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. I am so grateful. More to come as we have this time together, as we prepare for a holiday where we're saving our sanity during the holiday season. I love you real big,
Amen.
and there's
Bye
nothing you can
bye.
do about it. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Till next time on Touche Life.